On Global TV News Prime, federal government calls for daily commitment to nation building. Business banks seek new revenue channels as forex gains fade. On foreign scene, South Africa withdraws 90-day visa exemption for Palestinians over fears of link to forced migration. In sports, CAF unveils official mascot for AFCON 2025 in Morocco. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now, the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has called on all Nigerians to embrace patriotism not as a title or ceremonial act, but as a daily choice that shapes the nation's progress and global image. Speaking at a national program on My Nigeria, My Responsibility, the president, who was represented by the Minister of Information and Strategy and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, emphasized that true patriotism requires individuals and institutions to take responsibility for the country's story, its development, and the well-being of future generations. Kikelomo Okere has details.
Speaking at the event, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, highlighted the role of civic institutions, community leaders, and citizens in promoting accountability, ethical leadership, and responsible media consumption. He stressed that national progress depends on both visionary leadership and active participation from every Nigerian. The president emphasized that safeguarding the country requires more than weapons or infrastructure. It demands advanced technology, modern system, and well-motivated personnel who are equipped to respond to today's challenges. He says by strengthening security agencies with innovation and better resources, the nation is laying the foundation for a safer and more resilient future.
Understanding that the destiny of Nigeria does not rest in the hands of a select few in Abuja, but in the daily actions, words, and choices of over 200 million Nigerians scattered all around this country.
Deputy President of the Senate, Jibril Barau, says a strong tax security relationship will create a cycle of mutual legitimacy. He urged citizens to support the state through lawful contribution and the state to uphold its duty to safeguard communities while ensuring stability and respond swiftly to emerging threats.
State and local levels. 2. Pay your taxes where applicable. Taxes help the government provide services like roads, schools, hospital, and security.
Also, the keynote speaker, Professor Umar Pati, the Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Kashere, Gombe State, underscores the nation's building is not the duty of a select few. It demands the participation of all organizations, public institutions, and everyday citizens rising to the task with clarity and purpose.
Campaign focuses on responsibility for community service. It should be able to reawaken the spirit of volunteerism and communal participation in our communities to promote growth at the grassroots.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Citizenship and Leadership, Nasir Bala Aminu, says the initiative championed by the organization stands out as an important reminder of what citizens-led institutions can achieve when they create genuine platforms for participation. By encouraging leaders and communities to embrace a renewed culture of responsibility, routine engagement, and shared commitment to nation building.
This campaign emerged from the understanding that nation building is not the task of government alone, but a collective obligation and that rests upon each citizen, young or old, public or private, rural or urban.
It is clear that securing our nations goes beyond boots on ground. It is about modern tools and advanced technology and highly motivated personnel working with confidence and purpose. But beyond that, it's also about every citizen of Nigeria understanding their role in shaping the country's security and identity. As government invests in innovation and human capacity, citizens are being called to project responsibility, pride, and integrity in their daily lives. From the presidential villa in Abuja, I am Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
President Bola Tinubu has commended the Nigerian Armed Forces for their swift intervention in Benin Republic following an attempted military coup in the neighboring country. A statement signed by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, said the government of Benin formally requested Nigeria's military assistance in 2 separate communications after coup plotters led by Colonel Pascal Terry announced the suspension of democratic institutions. Tinubu's reaction came after loyalist forces in Benin, supported by Nigerian troops and air assets, dislodged soldiers who seized the country's national television station and claimed to have toppled President Patrice Talon. The federal government has launched a nationwide drive to sensitize Nigerians on the whistleblowing policy. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, Raymond Omauch, says the one-day program urges citizens to speak up, report financial wrongdoing, and help recover stolen public funds, straightening the fight against corruption across the nation. Our Benue State correspondent Felicity Indere reports.
The sensitization program themed Assessment of Whistleblowing Policy Implementation in Nigeria, the journey so far focused on educating citizens about the importance of reporting financial wrongdoing promptly. Participants were reminded that timely information can prevent greater losses because, as the saying goes, a stitch in time saves 9, with the motto, if you see something, say something.
National reflection of how far we have come and where we must go in the fight against corruption.
In his welcome address, Raymond Omachi, Permanent Secretary, Special Duties, Ministry of Finance, stressed the importance of whistleblowing and the government's willingness to act on credible reports, noting that whistleblowers are fully protected under the national policy, a key tool in the fight against corruption.
The ministry is taking steps to educate Nigerians. This is the step they should do. A fight against corruption is not a one-person job. It is a fight for every one of us. We say the way to report is such that people will not know that we've even reported anything. So we are taking steps to protect those who are bringing these reports.
Representing Governor Hyacinth Alia, the Commissioner for Finance said the workshop aims to boost citizens' involvement in reporting financial malpractice, stressing that the fight against corruption is a collective civil responsibility.
Government money is not personal emolument. Your emolument is what you are paid. Imagine if you knew that others were watching you and this matter could be reported, whatever you are into could be reported anonymously, and that you could be held to account for your actions. It will reduce the level of graft in our system. It is okay to protect the whistleblower. The whistleblower should also note that it is an offense to maliciously send out a report that is wrong.
Adopted by the Federal Executive Council in December 2016, the whistleblowing policy combats corruption by detecting fraud, preventing financial leakages, and promoting accountability. Whistleblowers receive 2.5% to 5% of what was recovered, and incentives consistent recognition is key to encouraging reports of corrupt practices. In Makudi, Felicity Indere, reporting for Global Television News.
The crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party has deepened as the faction aligned with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has announced plans to conduct state congresses and a national convention to elect new party officials. The development further widens the division between the PDP, which is already battling power leadership structures. Kabir Hassan tells us more.
The factional board of trustees met at the Lifecam residence of the FCT minister, where its chairman, Mao Ohabunwa, outlined a roadmap to restructure the party from the state level up to national leadership. Ohabunwa stated that the faction is already constituting caretaker committees in states affected by internal dispute, ahead of fresh Congress and a national convention expected to produce new officials. He explained that the move is aimed at restoring fairness, strengthening internal party structure, and rebuilding confidence in the PDP's democratic process.
Like I said, we're also making meaningful progress in the organizing affected states, including the constitution of credible caretaker committees to prepare the ground for transparent congresses and subsequent convention process.
The BOT also pledges total support for Abdurrahman Mohammed-led National Working Committee, insisting that the party must be run strictly in line with the Constitution and established guidelines. Ohabunwa emphasizes the Board of Trustees has a moral responsibility to stabilize the party and guide it away from divisions, urging members to remain united as reforms deepen across states.
We're going to work with this NWC. We're going to encourage them. We're going to support them to ensure that the right things are done and that things will be done in line with the law and the guidelines of our great party, PDP.
The PDP crisis intensified as rival bloc aligned with Oyo State Governor Sheyi Makinde held a separate convention in Ibadan, producing its own national chairman. The Wike group is currently in court seeking to nullify that convention. As both factions prepare for parallel activities, the battle for control of the PDP appears far from over. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum says the state and its people will continue to support the military's relentless fight against Boko Haram and Islamic State West African Province ISWAP terrorists in the northeast. Speaking at the frontline military base at Damboa of Sambisa Forest, the governor sympathized with the officers and soldiers by acknowledging their immense sacrifices and hard work daily in protecting lives and property in the state. Zulum commended the Nigerian Armed Forces for their enormous efforts and supreme sacrifice in the ongoing counter-terrorism operations to secure Borno State and protect civilians from Boko Haram and ISWAP incessant threats. Moving on now to the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB has released guidelines ahead of the registration for the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. In a post on the official JAMB X handle, the board stated that candidates should ensure their personal details, including national identification number, NIN, email, and A-level results are accurate before generating a profile code. The board urged candidates to send their 11-digit NIN to 55019 or 66019 to generate profile, adding that once a profile code is generated, it cannot be changed, and biodata is automatically retrieved from National Identification Management Commission. Nigeria marks a major milestone in dermatological medicine as the Nigerian Skincare Center unveiled 2 state-of-the-art laser machines, one designed for acne vulgaris treatment and the other dedicated to advanced scar remodeling. The first of their kind in Nigeria and across Africa. Samuel Odi reports for Global Television News.
The breakthrough launch signals a new era of high-precision, non-visible skin care solutions for millions battling with persistent skin conditions. MD and Chief Executive Officer of Niger Skin Limited, Dr. Bashir Malam, said the arrival of the machine demonstrates the organization's commitment to setting new medical standards. He noted that the technology will greatly enhance dermatological care, reduce treatment time, and offer safer alternatives for patients who have long struggled with chronic scarring and pigmentation challenges.
Are willing and really ready to help us, but of course there are limitations.
Taking the audience through the capacity of the equipment, Alex Bondo, the inventor of the technology, described the machine as a fusion of cutting-edge engineering and medical science. He explained that the laser for pimples targets inflammation at vascular levels, while the scar treatment laser restructures damaged tissue with extraordinary precision.
And it was the very first PICO in Sub-Saharan Africa. And now, tonight, thanks to Dr. D, we are going to launch the Accure. the name of the machine, is the Accure. It's the very first technology worldwide able to treat acne.
On the underlying cause of pimples, Professor Ono Abel provided insight into why Eka's vascular remains one of the most common yet misunderstood skincare condition.
Pimples is one of the commonest complaints we get in the various skin clinics all over. Most of them are mild. However, no matter how mild they are, usually there's some accompanying psychosocial problems that make it a very important thing, especially among young people.
With the commissioning of these innovative machines, Nigeria takes a decisive step into the future of dermatology, improving access, raising clinical standards, and placing the country on the map as leaders of advanced skincare technology in Africa. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
The 60th anniversary of the Nigerian Navy Officers' Wives Association, NOAA, has ended with a carol night celebrating its annual Christmas carol service themed Glory to God in the Highest. Samuel Odi again reports for Global TV.
The colorful event drew families and senior naval officers, invited dignitaries and guests to an evening of gratitude, reflection, and hope for the nation. The atmosphere at the carol service was filled with warmth as NOAA members from across the country converged to honor the birth of Christ. Choirs and scriptural readers took turns leading the congregation in timeless Christmas melodies. Highlighting the spiritual significance of the season, the Vice President of NOAA, Fadake Oludude, who represented the National President of NOAA, Aisha Idi Abbas, reaffirmed the association's commitment to fostering unity, compassion, and family value within naval community. She emphasized that Christmas remains a reminder of God's love and a call to service, peace, and generosity.
The message of Christmas is urgently needed in today's world, a world wrestling with greed, hatred, vengeance, and hypocrisy. Now more than ever, we are called to be beacons of love and bearers of light.
The special guest of honor, Teresa Ibaz, encouraged naval officers' wives to stay in unity and love as they marked their 60th anniversary. The event also featured special musical radiation and presentation from different NOAA formations across the country. The 2025 NOAA Christmas Carol celebration ended on a high note with a collective chorus of Silent Nights, symbolizing peace, hope, and renewed faith as families look forward to a prosperous new year. Officials say NOAA will continue to champion community support initiative across naval formations as the festive season progresses. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has issued a 3-day weather outlook, forecasting dust haze across northern and central Nigeria and isolated thunderstorms in the south from Monday, December 8th to Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. The forecast was included in the Weather Outlook Bulletin released by NIMET's Central Forecast Office. The outlook noted the visibility in several northern states could drop to between 2 kilometers and 5 kilometers due to suspended dust particles. You are watching the live broadcast of News Prime. When News Prime returns, Ivory Coast Assassin Al-Qatar sworn in for 4th term. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Prime on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, as the massive foreign exchange gains that banks enjoyed in the wake of the harmonization of the forex market dry up, market watchers say lenders are actively seeking ways to open up other non-interest channels. This was part of the outlook projected by experts at the Ameritrade Securities in their monthly banking sector highlights for November 2025. Reports say President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a week into his administration in 2023, harmonized segments of the forex market, which led to the significant depreciation in the value of the naira and resulted in a boon for banks in terms of forex revaluation gains. On the foreign scene now, President Al-Hussein Qatar says Ivory Coast is a friend to all and enemy to none. After being sworn in for the third term as the country's leader, the 83-year-old was re-elected with nearly 90% of the vote in October 25th election. Though turnout in the West African nation was relatively low, 50.1%, over now to Uyi Agbomofuegbe has the rest of the story.
Chef d'État, ami de la Côte d'Ivoire.
President Ouattara was sworn in after elections in which his two main opponents were excluded from the ballots. The president, who has led Ivory Coast since a violently disputed election in 2010, vowed to loyally defend the constitution at his inauguration. Leaders from 11 African countries attended the ceremony at the presidential palace in the economic capital, Abidjan, as well as former leaders such as Niger's Mamadou Issoufou. Former colonial ruler France, which maintains good relations with Ivory Coast, was represented by National Assembly Speaker Yael Brun-Pivet. The United States sent Jacob Hellberg, Under Secretary of State for Economic Affairs, who was due to meet with Ouattara in the afternoon. Ouattara's two main opponents, Laurent Gbagbo and Tijani Thiam, were excluded from the ballot. Gbagbo due to a criminal conviction and Thiam over nationality issues. Neither politician attended the ceremony. Uyi Agbomofuegbe reporting for Global TV News.
The United Nations has hit out a global apathy over widespread suffering as it launches 2026 appeal for humanitarian assistance, which is limited in scope as aid operations confront major funding cuts. UN Humanitarian Chief Tom Fletcher told reporters that this is a time when the world is experiencing brutality and impunity indifferences, condemning the intensity of the killing and the complete disregard for international law. Over now to Zarau Nasser as she reports.
Fletcher said it was also a time when politicians boast of cotton aid, as he unveiled a streamlined plan to raise at least $23 billion to help 87 million people in the world's most dangerous places, such as Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Haiti, and Myanmar. He said the United Nations would like to ultimately raise $33 billion to help 135 million people in 2026, but is painfully aware that its overall goal may be difficult to reach, given U.S. President Donald Trump's slashing of foreign aid.
Last year, despite the challenges I've described, the humanitarian community reached 98 million people with our support. And I take heart from the conviction that so many leaders have, including the US President, that 2026 will be a year of peacemaking, a year that can create a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do something extraordinary. The number for you. What do we need in order to save 87 million lives next year? We need protection for our work, we need that energetic peacemaking, and we need $23 billion.
Fletcher said the highly prioritized appeal was based on excruciating life and death choices, adding that he hoped Washington will see the choices made and the reforms undertaken to improve aid efficiency and choose to renew that commitment to help. He added that the UN is simply demanding that the world spend less on defense and more on humanitarian support.
It's therefore based on excruciating life and death choices. Beyond that, of course, there is so much more that we must and should be doing. And as I say, we're asking for only just over 1% of what the world is spending on arms and defense right now. So I'm not asking people to choose between a hospital in Brooklyn and a hospital in Kandahar.
In 2025, the UN's appeal for more than $45 billion was only funded to $12 billion mark, the lowest in a decade, the world body said, that only allow it to help 98 million people, 25 million fewer than the year before. Zahra Nasser, reporting for Global Television News.
South African authorities have withdrawn a 90-day visa exemption for Palestinians saying the recent arrival of a chartered flight with 153 people on board was part of a campaign of forced migration. Minister of Home Affairs De Leon Chaber said the flight and another in October had been organized by Israeli actors linked to efforts to relocate residents of the Gaza Strip. The minister added that it was an abuse of visa system and of the passengers themselves, as organizers were apparently willing to leave the people destitute on arrival in South Africa. Moving on now to sports news, the Confederation of African Football and local organizing committee have unveiled the Oracle mascot of the Total Energies CAF African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025, named Assad. Assad means lion. Newsman reports that the tournament will commence on Sunday, December 21st, 2025 and end on Sunday, January 18th, 2026. Now, according to a Monday release on the CAF website, Assad is inspired by the Atlas lion, one of Morocco's most iconic national symbols and a unifying and powerful figure across the African continent. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, here is a reminder of our top stories again. We brought to you that President Bola Tinubu has called on all Nigerians to embrace patriotism not as a title or ceremonial act, but as a daily choice that shapes the nation's progress and global image. In business, as the massive foreign exchange gains that banks enjoyed in the wake of the harmonization of the forex market dry up, market watchers say leaders are actively seeking ways to open up other non-interest channels. On the foreign scene now, South African authorities have withdrawn a 90-day visa exemption for Palestinians, saying the recent arrival of a chartered flight with 153 people on board was part of a campaign of forced migration. And finally, in sports, the Confederation of African Football and the local organizing committee have unveiled the official mascot for the Total Energies CAF African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025, named Assad, which means lion. Now that's it on Global TV News Prime. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching.